Most people know the story of asbestos in Australia, and it's a pretty tragic one, but what most people don't realise is that a third of the world's countries are still using asbestos. Most Australians assume it's a sort of story of the past, but it's not. It's still growing in a lot of the developing countries, and particularly in Asia, and of course one of the big daddies of all of that is India. So it's a story I've always wanted to go and look at. Asbestos cement in India is just everywhere, and there's a little village called Roro. There's a huge mountain of tailings left over from an asbestos mine that was abandoned some 20 years ago, and the kids do somersaults. They use it as like a playground during the summer, and of course the dust is incredible. It was like going back 30 years, really, in India. Everything about it, even the sort of spin that the industry pitches, it was very similar. They were talking about how, white asbestos doesn't hurt you. It's only when you're exposed over a long period of time to a large amount. Now, this is a product, of course, that the World Health Organization and most other medical authorities around the world say is a carcinogen, and there is no known safe level. But industry there is saying, we've never had a case of cancer from it. Maybe Indian lungs are different. Well, of course, the world's largest deposits of asbestos have always been in Canada, and it's been in the trade for many, many decades. There's money in it, and it's going to make it. Most Canadians themselves don't realise that their country is involved in this industry, but as the Prime Minister there has put it, if it's not illegal to have asbestos in India, then why should Canadian industry be disadvantaged and stopped from exporting it there? In the long term, I've got no doubt that India is looking at an epidemic of asbestos disease. I think it's probably underway now, but there isn't the medical surveillance to detect it. But as we describe it, and others have in the past, they're sitting on a toxic time bomb. This is an industry that just never gives up. You think it's sort of dying down and it's stopped, and as the industry itself used to say, the cancers we're seeing now are a legacy from the bad old days. But it's still up to its old tricks. It's just moved offshore. It's moved to the areas where the medical surveillance isn't so sophisticated. If people died instantly from this, a bit the same as if you shot them with a gun, there'd be an uproar and it wouldn't have lasted 10 seconds. But because there's such a time delay between the cause and the effect, they get away with it. And the people that make money out of this, the spin merchants and people like that, just leave me feeling quite sick.